Jake Harrison stood by the big window of his spaceship, looking out at the colorful space clouds. He held a strange message in his hands. It was the weirdest thing Earth had ever received from aliens. The message was an invitation to something. Called the Deathworld Conference. Jake was the commander of the Earthship called U.E.S. Valiant. He was a tall man with short brown hair and calm eyes. He had been in space for many years and had seen lots of strange things. But this message was different. Dr. Lisa Martinez walked over to Jake. She was the team's expert on alien life. Lisa was a smart woman with long black hair and glasses. She looked worried as she read the alien message. "Jake, they want us to come to their conference," Lisa said. "But they think we are from a deadly world. They have never met people from a class 12 Deathworld before." "Class 12? asked Ryan Cooper. He was the team's soldier and protector. Ryan was young and strong with blonde hair. "What does that mean?" Lisa looked at her computer notes. "Most planets where aliens live are Class 1 to Class 3. That means they are safe and easy to live on. Class 12 means a planet so dangerous that no smart creatures should be able to live there. They think Earth is impossible to survive on." Jake laughed. "They clearly do not know much about Earth. We have big storms, earthquakes, volcanoes, and animals that want to eat us. Our weather changes all the time." The Earth team had 5 people. There was Jake the commander, Lisa the scientist, Ryan the soldier, Kate Williams the engineer, and Alex Turner the diplomat. Each person was picked because they were very good at their job. Kate Williams was fixing something on the ship's engine. She was a small woman with strong hands and short red hair. Kate could fix anything and build things from scraps. She looked up from her work. "So these aliens think our home planet is too dangerous for life?" Kate asked. "Wait until they see what we can do." Alex Turner was reading more of the alien message. He was an older man with gray hair and many years of talking to important people. Alex knew how to be polite, but also how to be tough when needed. "There is something strange about this invitation," Alex said. "They are treating us like we are animals in a zoo. They want to watch us and see how we act." The alien message came from someone called Ambassador Zethkar. He was from a group called the Velthani Republic. The Velthani were very important in space politics. They had power over many other alien groups. Jake, read the message out loud. "Greetings, humans of Earth. We want to invite you because we are curious. Your people say you come from a world our scientists think cannot support life. We want to see how you handle dangerous places. This is not a test of how good you are. We just want to learn." "They think we are science experiments," Ryan said. His face looked angry. "They want to poke us and see what happens." "Let them try," Jake said, with a big smile. "They are about to learn why humans do not give up when the universe tries to kill us." Their spaceship was getting close to the conference planet. It was called Kepler 442c. The aliens had changed this planet to make it barely livable. They thought it was very dangerous, but it was really just their idea of what dangerous meant. Lisa was reading more information about the planet. "It has stronger gravity than Earth. The air pressure is different. The temperature goes from very cold to very hot. There are electrical storms and volcanoes." "Sounds like a fun camping trip," Kate said, still working on the engine. The ship's computer made a beeping sound. Another message was coming in. This time it was a video message. The screen showed a tall, thin alien with blue skin and big black eyes. This was Ambassador Zethkar. "Humans of Earth," the alien said through the computer's translation. "We are excited to meet you. We have prepared special rooms for you with air you can breathe and temperature you can survive. We do not want you to die during the conference." Jake looked at his team. They all had the same thought. These aliens had no idea what humans were. Really, like, should we tell them we do not need special rooms? Ryan asked. No, Alex said. Let them think we are weak. It will make things more interesting when they see what we can really do. The spaceship landed on Kepler 442c 3 hours. Later, through the windows, they could see the conference area. There were buildings that looked like they were made of crystal and metal. Hundreds of alien ships were parked around the area. Look at all those ships, Lisa said. There must be aliens from all over the galaxy here. Jake put on his regular Earth clothes. He wore simple pants, a shirt, and boots. The others did the same. They took small breathing masks, but only because the air was a little thin. They did not need the heavy protective suits the aliens expected them to wear. Ready to show them what humans can do? Jake asked his team. Ready, they all said together, as they walked toward the ship's exit door. Jake thought about Earth. Their home planet had taught them to be strong. Every storm, every earthquake, every dangerous animal had made humans tougher. Now they were going to show the galaxy what that meant. The door opened, and they stepped out onto the alien world. The conference was about to begin. The humans stepped off their ship and onto the alien planet. The first thing they noticed was how nice it felt. The gravity was a little stronger than Earth, but not much. The air was thin, so they put on their small breathing masks. The temperature was warm like a spring day. Jake looked around and smiled. This is supposed to be dangerous? He asked his team. Around them, hundreds of aliens were arriving for the conference. But these aliens looked very different from the humans. Most of them wore big, heavy suits that covered their whole bodies. They floated above the ground in special flying machines instead of walking. Ambassador Zethkar came to meet the humans. He was the tall, blue alien from the video message. He wore a clear helmet over his head and a thick suit over his body. Two other aliens walked with him, but they looked more like giant bugs than people. Welcome, humans, Zethkar said through his suit's speaker. We are amazed that you are walking on the ground without protection. Are you not afraid of the dangerous air and gravity? This feels fine to us, Jake said. Actually, it reminds me of hiking in the mountains back home. Zethkar's big black eyes got even bigger. He turned to his bug-like assistant and whispered something. The assistant made clicking sounds back. Lisa was already exploring the area around their landing spot. She found some strange plants that looked like they were made of glass. When the wind blew through them, they made electrical sparks. These are beautiful. Lisa called out to the group of aliens watching her. They use electricity like plants. On Earth, use sunlight. This is amazing science. The alien scientists looked worried. On their home planets, electrical plants were considered extremely dangerous. They would never touch them or go near them. Kate was looking at the rocks and ground near the conference buildings. She picked up some stones and examined them closely. This is volcanic rock, Kate announced to a group of small, furry aliens. The planet has active volcanoes nearby. You can tell by the mineral patterns in the stone. We have lots of places like this on Earth. The furry aliens backed away from Kate. On their world, any sign of volcanic activity meant immediate evacuation. They could not understand why this human seemed happy about it. Ryan was testing the gravity by jumping and doing simple exercises. The stronger gravity felt good to him, like wearing a weighted vest during training. This is great for building muscle strength, Ryan told some tall, thin aliens who were watching him. The extra gravity will make us stronger while we are here. The aliens whispered to each other in their own languages. They could not believe what they were seeing. Alex was talking to a group of important-looking aliens about the conference schedule. He had taken off his breathing mask to speak more clearly. You are breathing the air directly. One of the aliens said through its translator. "How are your lungs not collapsing from the pressure?" "The pressure is fine," Alex said calmly. "It is similar to being on a mountain on Earth. We are used to much worse conditions." As the day went on, more and more aliens gathered to watch the humans. Word was spreading through the conference that the creatures from the impossible planet were not just surviving, but actually enjoying themselves. The conference center was a huge building made of crystal and metal. It had different sections for different types of aliens. Some areas were very hot, some were very cold, some had thick air, and some had thin air. Each alien species needed different conditions to survive. The humans walked through all the different sections without any problems. In the hot areas, they took off their jackets. In the cold areas, they put them back on. They breathed easily in thick air and thin air. "How is this possible?" Zethkar asked Jake as they toured the building. "Our scientists calculated that beings from your world would need massive life support systems to survive here." "Your scientists made a mistake," Jake said. "They thought our world was trying to kill us, so we must be weak. But actually, our world made us strong. Every challenge we faced made us better at surviving." In one section of the building, there was an earthquake simulator. It was designed to show aliens what ground shaking felt like, so they could understand planetary instability. Most aliens stayed far away from it. Lisa walked right into the simulator and stood calmly as the floor shook and moved. "This is just like the earthquakes we get in California," she said to the amazed aliens watching. "You learn to keep your balance and stay calm. The shaking stops eventually." Kate found a section where aliens were demonstrating their emergency equipment. These were tools designed to help aliens survive disasters. Kate looked at the complex machines and gadgets. "These are very complicated," Kate said. "On Earth, we learned to make simple tools that work in bad conditions. Let me show you." Kate took some basic materials and quickly built a simple shelter, a water filter, and a communication device. The alien engineers watched in amazement as she used only basic tools to create things that worked better than their complex machines. By the end of the first day, the humans had visited every part of the conference center. They had talked to aliens from dozens of different worlds. They had demonstrated that they could survive easily in conditions the aliens thought were deadly. That evening, the aliens held a welcome dinner. Different species sat in different areas with different foods and different air. The humans sat wherever they wanted and ate whatever was offered to them. "Your digestive systems can process all these different foods?" asked a diplomat from the Aquarian Federation. "We are omnivores," Lisa explained. "On Earth, we had to eat many different things to survive. Our bodies learned to handle variety." As the dinner ended, Jake overheard groups of aliens talking about the humans. "They have no protective equipment," one whispered. "They are breathing unfiltered air," said another. "They touched the electrical plants," added a third. "They seem to enjoy the dangerous conditions," said a fourth. Jake smiled. The aliens were starting to understand that their ideas about dangerous planets might be wrong. Tomorrow would bring even bigger surprises. Zethkar approached Jake as the evening ended. "Commander Harrison," the ambassador said, "we must admit we are confused. We invited you here expecting to see how primitives from a Deathworld might struggle with controlled danger. Instead, you appear to be more comfortable here than we are." "Ambassador," Jake replied, "maybe the problem is not that our world is too dangerous. Maybe the problem is that your worlds are too safe." Zethkar stood silent for a long moment, thinking about what Jake had said. Around them, the conference center buzzed with activity as aliens from across the galaxy prepared for the next days. Events. None of them knew that their ideas about survival were about to change forever. The second day of the conference started with what the aliens called environmental adaptation challenges. These were tests designed to see how different species could handle the planet's dangerous conditions while trying to work together and make decisions. The challenges had 4 parts. First, species had to negotiate trade deals while walking across unstable ground with rocks and holes. Second, they had to work together on science projects during electrical storms. Third, they had to communicate and make plans when the temperature changed from very hot to very cold. Fourth, they had to agree on sharing resources when there was not enough for everyone. Most of the alien teams approached these challenges very carefully. They brought lots of advanced technology. They had machines that could fly, computers that could predict weather, and suits that protected them from everything. They stayed in constant contact with their ships and support teams. The humans looked at the challenges and got excited. "This looks like fun," Ryan said as he studied the obstacle course for the first challenge. "It is like military training, but with aliens." "I love problem solving under pressure," Kate added, examining the equipment. They were allowed to use DOT. The first challenge was negotiating while moving across difficult terrain. The course had rocky cliffs, fast-moving streams, loose gravel slopes, and narrow bridges over deep gaps. While other species used their flying platforms and stabilization machines, the humans simply walked. Jake led his team on foot across the rocks and through the water. They moved quickly and confidently, talking about trade agreements as they climbed and jumped. "The Trilaxian mining rights proposal looks good," Alex said as he jumped across a stream. "But we should ask for better safety standards." "Agreed," Jake replied while helping Lisa up a steep rock face. "Their worker protection laws are too weak." Behind them, a team of Kishari engineers was struggling with their hover platform. The machine kept overheating because volcanic ash was clogging its air filters. "Need help?" Kate called out to them. The Kishari looked embarrassed, but nodded. Kate jogged back to their platform and opened an access panel. "Your intake filters are blocked," she explained as she cleaned out the ash with simple tools. "In dusty conditions, you need to clear these every hour. Here, let me show you an easy way to do it." The Keshari watched in amazement as Kate used basic maintenance techniques to fix their advanced technology. They had never learned to maintain their machines because they always had technicians do it for them. The humans finished the terrain course first, and they had also helped 3 other teams complete it successfully. The second challenge involved working together during electrical storms. Most alien teams retreated to special underground bunkers to wait for the storms to pass. The storms were supposed to make cooperation impossible because the noise and lightning would scare everyone. The humans set up a simple shelter using local materials and continued their work while lightning crashed around them. "This is exciting," Lisa said as she studied her research notes by lamplight while thunder rolled overhead. "The electrical activity is creating interesting magnetic fields. We should take measurements. The lightning is actually helping us," Alex noted as he reviewed diplomatic papers. "The regular flashes give us more light to work with." A group of Aquarian delegates was huddled in their bunker, too scared to come out. The humans went to their bunker and invited them to join the humans' shelter. "You will be safe with us," Jake assured them. "Lightning is dangerous, but only if you do not understand it. We can teach you how to stay safe." Ryan showed the Aquarians how to recognize safe areas during storms. Lisa explained how electrical fields work. Kate demonstrated simple lightning rods using metal objects. Soon, the Aquarians were working alongside the humans in their basic shelter. No longer afraid of the storm. The third challenge tested communication during extreme temperature changes. The conference area cycled through scorching heat and freezing cold every few hours. Most species could only function in narrow temperature ranges. The humans adapted easily. When it got hot, they removed layers of clothing and found shade. When it got cold, they added layers and moved around to stay warm. They continued their diplomatic talks through all the temperature changes. "Your species must have amazing technology to regulate body temperature," commented a Velfani diplomat who was struggling with the heat. "We do not have technology for this," Lisa explained. "Our bodies learn to handle temperature changes naturally. Let us show you some techniques that might help." Lisa taught the aliens simple methods for dealing with heat and cold. She showed them how to layer clothing, how to stay hydrated, how to find shelter, and how to use physical activity to generate warmth. "These are survival skills," she explained. "On Earth, we learn them as children because our planet's weather changes constantly." The fourth challenge was about resource sharing during scarcity. The organizers provided limited food, water, and shelter materials. They expected species to compete and argue over who got what. Instead, the humans organized a sharing system. They showed other species how to purify water using simple filters, how to find edible plants, and how to build shelters that could house multiple species with different needs. "There is enough for everyone if we work together," Jake explained to a group of worried delegates. "The trick is not to compete for resources, but to make resources go further through cooperation." Kate built water purification systems using local materials. Lisa identified safe plants that could supplement their food supplies. Ryan organized security teams to protect shared resources. Alex negotiated fair distribution agreements between different species. By the end of the second day, something unprecedented was happening. Species that had been competitors for centuries were working together. Ancient enemies were sharing resources. The shared challenges were creating friendships that formal diplomacy had never achieved. A Trilaxian engineer was working with a hegemony warrior to repair a shelter. These two species had been at war for over 10 years, but now they were cooperating. Like old friends. "How did you make this happen?" Zethkar asked Jake as they watched former enemies working together. "We did not make it happen," Jake replied. "The challenges made it happen." When people face danger together, they stop being enemies and start being teammates. Zethkar looked around at the busy camp where hundreds of aliens from dozens of species were cooperating in ways they never had before. "We have accomplished more in 2 days than our formal negotiations have achieved in years," he admitted. "That is because formal negotiations happen in safe, comfortable rooms," Alex explained. "Real cooperation happens when people need each other to survive." As the second day ended, word was spreading throughout the galaxy about what was happening at the Deathworld conference. The humans had not just survived the challenges, they had turned them into opportunities for building unprecedented cooperation between species. But none of them knew that the real test was coming tomorrow. The planet was about to become genuinely dangerous, and the humans would have to prove that their survival skills were more than just adaptations to controlled challenges. The conference was about to become a real survival situation. The third day of the conference started normally, but everything changed when the planet's star sent out a massive burst of energy. The solar flare hit Kepler 442c like an invisible wave, and all the advanced technology on the planet stopped working. The weather control systems that kept the conference area safe suddenly failed. The carefully managed, dangerous environment became genuinely deadly in minutes. Electromagnetic interference destroyed most of the aliens' advanced equipment. Their environmental suits stopped working. Their hover platforms crashed to the ground. Their communication systems went silent. Temperature swings became extreme, going from freezing cold to burning hot in hours. The ground started shaking as seismic activity increased. Atmospheric pressure began fluctuating wildly. Panic spread through the conference as 200 alien delegates realized they were trapped on a planet that had just become truly hostile. The humans, however, stayed calm and immediately began organizing a response. "Kate," Jake called out over the noise of scared aliens, "we need shelter for 200 beings with different needs for air, temperature, and space. What can we work with?" Kate was already walking around the area, examining what materials were available. "We have local stone, those electrical trees for power, volcanic vents for heating, and metal scraps from the crashed hover platforms. We can build a multi-zone shelter complex." "Lisa, medical assessment. What do we need to know to keep everyone alive?" Dr. Lisa Martinez was moving through the crowd of aliens, checking on their health. Many were in distress. Respiratory problems in species from high-altitude worlds, temperature shock in desert species, and panic-induced heart stress in about half the delegates. We need to stabilize them quickly and keep them calm. "Ryan, security situation. Are we looking at social breakdown?" Lieutenant Ryan Cooper was talking to alien security personnel and observing the crowd. "Some territorial disputes between species are starting because of this stress, but nothing we cannot handle. I am organizing mixed teams to prevent conflicts." "Alex, keep everyone informed and maintain diplomatic relations while we work." Alex Turner was moving through the crowd, speaking in multiple languages through the few translators that still worked, explaining the humans' plan and keeping delegates calm. Over the next 18 hours, the human team did something the aliens thought was impossible. They built a functioning survival community using only primitive tools and local materials. They constructed shelters that could house different species with different environmental needs. Some areas were warm for cold weather species. Others were cool for desert species. Some had thick air. Others had thin air. Kate built water purification systems using sand, charcoal, and cloth filters. She showed aliens how to identify clean water sources and how to make dirty water safe to drink. Lisa organized medical care using basic first aid and natural remedies. She taught aliens how to treat their own minor injuries and how to help others who were more seriously affected. Ryan set up security teams with mixed species to prevent conflicts and protect shared resources. He taught basic self-defense and group organization to aliens who had never needed these skills. Alex managed the complex diplomatic situation of keeping dozens of different species working together under extreme stress. He negotiated resource sharing agreements and resolved disputes before they became conflicts. Most importantly, the humans gave every alien delegate a job to do. Instead of letting them panic, they organized work teams and taught basic survival skills. "You are making us into refugees on our own conference planet," Ambassador Zithkar observed as he helped Lisa tend to injured delegates. "We are making you into survivors," Lisa corrected him. "There is a big difference. Refugees run away from danger. Survivors learn to live with it." As the crisis continued, something remarkable happened. The alien delegates began working together in ways their species had never managed before. Natural competitors were cooperating. Ancient enemies were sharing food and water. The shared adversity was creating bonds that centuries of formal diplomacy had failed to build. Jake watched as a Trilaxian engineer worked with a hegemony warrior to build a shelter wall. These species had been fighting wars for decades, but now they were working like old friends. "You know," Jake said to Zethkar as they watched the unprecedented cooperation, "I think we are seeing the birth of something new here." "What do you mean?" "Real galactic unity. Not the careful, formal politeness of your council meetings, but genuine partnership born from shared struggle. This is how humans have always built their strongest alliances." Around them, the survival community was growing more organized by the hour. Aliens were learning skills they had never needed before. They were discovering abilities they did not know they had. A group of Aquarian diplomats, who had always been known for their careful neutrality, were now leading resource distribution teams with enthusiasm and efficiency. Desert-dwelling Kishari, who normally avoided cold climates, were working in freezing conditions to help ice world species build heated shelters. The insectoid hegemony warriors, feared throughout the galaxy for their aggression, were gently caring for injured delegates from species they had never met before. Your species are more capable than you realized, Lisa told Zethkar as she watched a group of supposedly fragile aliens successfully building a complex water filter system. The problem was never your biology. It was your psychology. What do you mean? Every species here has evolutionary abilities that make them good at surviving challenges. The Trilaxians have incredible spatial intelligence that makes them natural engineers. The Aquarians have temperature regulation abilities that are better than anything humans developed. The Keshare have enhanced reflexes that make them excellent at emergency response. But we never developed these abilities, Zethkar said. Because you never had to, Jake explained. You achieved technological advancement without the pressure of survival challenges. It is not a weakness, it is just a different path. But it means you have abilities you never discovered. Kate looked up from a communications device she was building from salvaged parts. The real mistake was not inviting us to your Deathworld conference. The mistake was thinking that surviving on a dangerous world was something to be ashamed of, instead of something to be proud of. As the crisis continued, the humans noticed that the aliens were not just surviving, they were starting to thrive. The challenges were bringing out strengths that comfortable, safe civilizations had never needed to develop. By the end of the third day, what had started as a disaster had become a transformation. The conference delegates were no longer just representatives of their species attending a formal meeting. They had become a community of survivors who had discovered new things about themselves and each other. The solar flare was ending, and rescue ships were on their way. But as Jake looked around at the bustling survival community they had built, he realized that the real rescue had already happened. The galaxy had rescued itself from the weakness that comes from too much safety. The aliens had rediscovered the strength that comes from facing challenges together. The Deathworld Conference had become something much more important than anyone had planned. On the fourth day, rescue ships arrived from various homeworlds to evacuate the conference delegates. The solar flare had ended, and the planet's systems were being restored. The crisis was over, and everyone could go home safely. But something unexpected happened. Most of the alien delegates did not want to leave. We have accomplished more in 3 days of crisis than in 3 years of formal negotiations, announced Prime Minister Veltar of the Andorian Federation. His species was known for avoiding contact with other species, but now he was eager to continue working with former strangers. We request permission to extend the conference, added General Crix of the Hegemony, a warrior species that had never asked for anything politely before. The human team found themselves in a strange situation. They were hosting an impromptu diplomatic summit using camping equipment and makeshift shelters, but the aliens preferred it to their formal conference rooms. Ambassador Zethkar approached Commander Jake Harrison as the sun set on the fourth day. Around them, aliens from dozens of species were working together to improve their survival community, even though they no longer needed to survive. Commander Harrison, Zethkar said, we owe your species an apology. We invited you here thinking we would observe how primitives from a dangerous world might struggle with controlled challenges. Instead, you have shown us that we are the primitives. How do you mean? Jake asked, genuinely curious. We have spent thousands of years protecting ourselves from every possible threat, building technology to shield us from any discomfort, avoiding any environment that might challenge us. In doing so, we made ourselves weak. When real danger came, we were helpless. Zethkar gestured toward the busy community around them. Aliens were still working together, building improvements to their shelters and systems, even though rescue ships were available. But you thrived when danger came. More than that, you taught us to thrive. You showed us that difficulty does not weaken cooperation. It strengthens it. Dr. Lisa Martinez joined the conversation, her research notes in hand. Ambassador, can I share something we discovered? Your species are far more adaptable than you. Think, the problem is not your biology, it is your mindset. You have been taught to fear challenges instead of embracing them. What do you mean? Every species here has evolutionary adaptations that would help them in hostile environments. The Trilaxians have incredible engineering intuition. The Aquarians have thermal regulation that surpasses anything humans developed. The Kishari have enhanced reflexes that make them superb at emergency response. But we never developed these abilities, Zethkar said. Because you never needed to, Jake explained. You achieved technological advancement without survival pressure. That is not a weakness. It is just a different path. But it means you have untapped potential. Engineer Kate Williams looked up from a device she was building to improve their water purification system. The real mistake was not inviting us to your Deathworld conference. The mistake was thinking that surviving on a dangerous world was something to be ashamed of, rather than something to be proud of. Over the following days, as the various species began to depart, many extended formal invitations to Earth. But these were not the usual diplomatic invitations. They were requests for partnerships, for teaching, for collaboration. We wish to establish exchange programs, announced the Velthani Republic through Zethkar. We want to learn from your species how to be resilient. The hegemony formally requests human advisors for our emergency response programs, added General Crix. The Trilaxian Confederacy wishes to partner with Earth on exploration missions to challenging environments, said Chief Engineer Vextol. The Aquarian Federation wants to learn how to teach our children to handle difficulties instead of avoiding them, added Diplomat Mayor Lynn Dot. Each species had discovered something about themselves during the crisis. They had found abilities they did not know they had, and they wanted to develop these abilities further. As the human team prepared to return to Earth, Lieutenant Ryan Cooper summarized the experience. They thought they were testing us. Instead, we ended up teaching them. Teaching them what? Asked Alex Turner. That the biggest mistake you can make is thinking survival is about avoiding danger, Ryan replied. Real survival is about learning to dance with danger until you and it become partners. The Galactic Cooperative Council held an emergency session to discuss what had happened at the conference. The results were unprecedented. Species that had been neutral for centuries were forming new alliances. Ancient enemies were signing peace treaties. The entire structure of galactic politics was changing. The humans have triggered something we never expected, Council Leader Tissara announced to the assembled representatives. They have shown us that our greatest strength might come from our greatest challenges. The Council voted unanimously to establish permanent exchange programs with Earth. They also voted to change the nature of their diplomatic conferences. Instead of meeting in comfortable, controlled environments, they would meet in challenging locations that would encourage cooperation and problem-solving. Commander Jake Harrison stood once again on the observation deck of the Hughes Valiant, watching as dozens of alien ships departed Kepler 442c. But unlike their arrival, these ships were traveling in mixed formations. Former enemies were flying together. Species that had never cooperated were sharing navigation data. You know, Jake said to his team, I think they invited us to the wrong conference. What do you mean? Lisa asked. They called it a Deathworld conference. But what we really attended was a Life World conference. We showed them that worlds do not become dangerous because they are trying to kill you. They become dangerous when you forget how to live on them. Dr. Martinez smiled as she reviewed her notes. The irony is perfect. They thought inviting humans to a Deathworld conference would show us our limitations. Instead, it showed them theirs. Alex Turner was reading messages from alien diplomats who wanted to continue the relationships they had built during the crisis. "I think we accidentally started a revolution," he said. "A good revolution," Kate added. "They are not overthrowing governance. They are overthrowing the idea that safety and survival are the same thing." As the Hughes Valiant began its journey home, the humans carried with them the knowledge that they had triggered what would become known as the Great Awakening. It was a galaxy-wide renaissance in which species began to rediscover their own survival instincts and learn to thrive in the universe's challenges rather than merely endure them. The Galactic Cooperative Council officially renamed the event the Survival Conference, and it became an annual tradition, with Earth serving as the permanent host world. After all, if you want to learn how to survive, you learn from the species that turned a dangerous world into a home. 6 months later, Ambassador Zethkar stood in Yellowstone National Park on Earth, watching Old Faithful erupt while a grizzly bear wandered peacefully in the distance. His environmental suit had been replaced with simple hiking gear, and for the first time in his life, he felt truly alive. "Your planet is still trying to kill me," he told Jake Harrison, who was serving as his guide. "Yes?" Jake replied with a grin. "Is it not wonderful?" Zethkar laughed, a sound his species had not made in generations, and realized that the humans had been right all along. The biggest mistake had not been inviting humans to the Deathworld conference. The biggest mistake had been thinking that safety and survival were the same thing. Now, species across the galaxy were learning the difference, and the universe was becoming a much more interesting place.